This is a Janome made machine, and it's got a problem with the reverse, which I need to make sure it's actually set for a stitch that features a reverse so that I can but it's got this sliding cam here that Janome liked that gets all gummy. This machine is also caked with the original grease that came in it for that lifetime lubrication, but that's all rock hard and crunchy now because it has exceeded the lifetime that it was designed to provide. So I'm gonna have to knock all the big chunks I can get out of it, and then because it's in this reversing thing, I'm gonna actually pop this apart. Sometimes you can just treat these with rubbing alcohol to loosen them up, but I'm gonna take this E-clip off and actually dunk all these parts to make sure. So, washer, spring, there, all that filth. I'm gonna dunk all that in rubbing alcohol, and since I got this arm out, I'll clean this arm off as well, because that just hooks on the other end of this link. And then I can spin this and use Q-tips and rubbing alcohol underneath here, although this seems to be sliding back and forth pretty well on the thing, so it must just be this grease here that was all gummed up on the pivot. And then I will show you how to get this back together, because I didn't realize how bad it was when I first opened it, but I finish getting the end cover off here. And you can see the entire selector mechanism here is covered in all that filthy old grease that is now glue. So I'm going to have to Q-tips and rubbing alcohol to get all the old sticky grease off, and then provide fresh new sewing machine oil on this slide that you can see, and then there's a slide behind this bar, which is where that it rides on as well. All right, another issue with this machine is the length dial is not changing anything. So I'm turning the length dial, and this length that I'm moving by hand now is supposed to be the sonic cleaner is making too much noise suddenly. Get the flashlight on there. That link that's moving there, that's supposed to be moving with the dial, and it is not moving with the dial, so it's clearly sticky as well. So I'm gonna have to get in on all those joints with rubbing alcohol to free them up and then oil them properly. All this stuff is thoroughly degreased, so you need to make sure and rotate this around until that metal clip that rides in here is centered. That lets it travel and then holds and helps the and holds it as it presses to interlock on either the dogs on either side of this part. So make sure that's in there, and then we'll put our spring in place, and we don't have to wind that up until we get our washer and clip back on. There we go. And then we'll oil that a whole bunch. Oil that side a whole bunch. Oil that a whole bunch. Wiggle it a whole bunch here. Make sure all that oil gets in there really good. You can put a drop of oil on the shaft before you slide the lever back on. And now this spring end needs to go around and up onto the tab here. There we go. And oh, I bet I was supposed to have. Yep, I needed to get this link on there first. Rats. Yeah. All right. Well, let me pop that off and slip the link in place. Wait, there's a spring on the other end of this. Okay. You slip the far end on, and then there. It's sprung to keep it. There we go. That reverser is moving again like it's supposed to. I'm going to finish oiling all the underside of this machine. And the bottom can go back on. All right, so the bottom can go back on this SS-2015 New Home. It's got a plastic plate here, and there are two coarse thread self-tapping screws that go in the plastic end of the base here on these legs, except I have to put the bottom cover of the free arm on first. That's going to make this a whole lot easier. There are some holes in that plastic piece, but they're not really big enough. So this has a warning on it to make sure that your lever here is pushed to the left, and that controls the feed dog lift, which I need to oil. Have all the lids set on in a heap, and they just tipped over. So longer screws came out of this. Otherwise, most of these are threaded the same, so if you switch the longer screws for the shorter screws, I don't think the short screws reach on this part of the machine, and then the long screws will thread in too deep in other spots. So, alright, now with the cover on the free arm, we can put these self-tapping screws back in, and once a self-tapping screw has been put in someplace, you should try to match the threads, especially in plastic. Otherwise, it'll cross-thread its hole, and then you'll be tearing the old threads out. So there's those two self-tapping screws, and then there are 4 other screws here that are all short machine screws that go into metal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. Now we've got the end cover here. I'm going to put a dab of oil on this idler, and then get go. There's a tab on the back behind my thumb, so you got to make sure that gets caught. And then a longer screw goes in this hole, but not the longest screw. The longest screw that I had just had is actually out of the lid. So there is an opening side door, but you don't actually, that provides only a small amount of access to the machine. And put our dab of oil across all of our bearings and the needle bar crank and everything. Because again, this was all greased, and we had to clean all that old grease out, so we gotta keep applying fresh oil everywhere that we had to remove grease. Didn't realize the camera wasn't catching that, so oil everywhere because we've removed a lot of grease, and we need to get fresh oil in everywhere that the grease was removed. And then the top cover is a bit complex. It's got the handle and the lid. So you have to take the handle and you have to get the handle in place while it's between the lid, because there's this cutout on either side that the handle sets in. So with the lid, with the top piece up, we need to snap our handle in place, and then once the handle is in place, the lid slips down onto the machine. And then we've got a short screw there and a very long screw there that hold the top on the machine. I'm going to run this a bit, and then once the oil is worked in, we can thread it. Before we thread this new home, I need to put the bobbin back in, or bobbin case back in. This machine has class 15 bobbin case, top load. There's a bracket here with an arrow and an arrow on the bobbin case. Just slip it in, match the arrows, and then jiggle it until it sets into the rim on the edge of the hook there. And once it is in place, you can put the needle plate back on, and there's a single screw that holds the needle plate down. This machine absolutely needs the needle plate in place to test stitches on it. There are other machines, the Singer Heavy Duty, that retains the bobbin case without the needle plate in place, and if you are working on the machine, you can check some things without the plate in place, but this one you need to have the plate in place to prevent the bobbin case from jumping around. And while I'm here, we'll put our ankle and foot back on. This has the Janome snap feet. It is a low shank foot, but the Janome adapter has a different distance from the presser foot bar forward to where it snaps onto the foot. So you have to use Janome feet, or they will not align with the hole in the needle plate. Alternately, you have to replace both the ankle, the bracket, the foot holder, whatever this piece is, and then it will use the standard dimension feet if you replace the holder as well.